Welcome to our first episode of Season 2 of Places to Go. I'm your host, Matt Griffith, and I can tell you that Season 2 is going to seem like an entirely different show than Season 1. First off, Season 1 was predominantly iconic destinations that every new international traveler dreams of going to. Season 2 has more off-the-beaten-path destinations for the seasoned traveler, while still maintaining a few iconic destinations. We've also nearly tripled the quantity of episodes for Season 2. And best of all, we have some additional hosts. As the executive producer of this show, my hope is that you will connect with our hosts and share our love of travel.
I'm Matt Griffith, and we're in Havana, Cuba.
I have wanted to go to Cuba for the past few years. I had even looked into how I could go before Obama made it possible to travel to Cuba. Being from a country where I'm told that I'm free, but not being able to travel to a country I want to go to because my own country says it's not allowed seems counterintuitive. So when Obama opened it up, I was both thrilled and mortified. Thrilled because I could go, but mortified because I was worried that we would Americanize it too much and it would quickly change away from the Cuba that we've all heard about. How naive am I? Canada, Europe, New Zealand, and Australia have been coming here for years. So when Trump took office, I was worried that our ability to travel to Cuba would get undone. But thankfully it has not. Now that being said, you can't technically go for tourism. We have this stupid rule that you have to pick one of 12 reasons to go. The one you want to focus on is supporting the Cuban people. The first thing you need to know is that the Cuban people love America and Americans. They want us to come and visit. They are super welcoming. They are some of the nicest people I have ran across on the planet. The spat between our nations is older than I am and is really between our governments. We started doing research on going to Cuba, and these 12 categories continued to come up in every search we did. But one website seemed to float to the top of Google and Bing searches, and that was ViaHero. ViaHero connects you to local experts, which they refer to as heroes, who will plan a completely unique trip for you. In addition to itinerary recommendations, the heroes assist with things like booking research, arranging transportation, making restaurant reservations, and building custom maps for offline navigation while you're on your mobile device. The idea of this service seemed interesting because many of you that watch this show may not be like me and be willing to go to some obscure place you've never been to with or without a lifeline. Well, ViaHero is just that, a lifeline. So I contacted the company and told them we wanted to feature their service. We didn't ask them for money to do so, and they didn't offer. I simply felt this was a service worth showing you, our viewer.
I'm here in Havana, Cuba with Laura Katana from ViaHero, and Laura has been full of information for us.
Alright, so we are in Old Havana, in La Habana Vieja, which is probably the most picturesque part of Havana. It's the oldest part of the city, and I'm going to show you around some of my favorite spots.
Havana Vieja is the heart of Havana. You can safely and easily walk around throughout the streets as there is very little automobile traffic through the majority of this area. Here you'll find plenty of restaurants and shops, and you'll get to see the people of Cuba and experience their culture. Havana is safe, and I mean very safe. We booked an Airbnb for our stay in Cuba. We were going to book an Art Deco style mansion around the Malecon area, but Laura suggested that we stay in Old Havana where we could walk to everything for this first trip to Cuba. She said that the mansion would be a great place to stay the second time we come to Cuba, and that made perfect sense. So we got the Airbnb apartment on the 3rd floor. Yes, it had stairs. We met Laura immediately after this and we headed to El ChanChullero for lunch. This place almost always has a line because it is that delicious. And today was no exception. We had to wait about 15 minutes to get a table. The prices were reasonable even though it was predominantly tourists eating there. The place has a rooftop bar for drinks and tapas and 2 floors with the full restaurant menu. She took us to a store called Clandestina, which is ran by a local entrepreneur, the first one to have an e-commerce site in Cuba. They sell unique shirts and souvenirs unlike any others you'll find in Cuba. We had dinner at Topoly, a fantastic Iranian-Cuban restaurant. Iranian-Cuban restaurant, you ask? Yes, it's actually a thing. This restaurant is on a quiet part of 23rd Street in Vedado and an amazing place to sit outside and enjoy a meal. We parted ways with Laura for the evening and headed to Fabrica de Arte Cubano. Now I can tell you that we heard about this place every day we were in Havana.
So I would love to tell you that we're getting ready to go into Fabrica, but I have to be honest, I've already been in there and it's cool as can be.
It is definitely a happening place. Laura told us it was a must-see even though it is saturated with tourists. It's an art gallery, museum, bar, club, and cultural center all rolled into one. It is only open Thursday through Sunday nights and is always a good time. They have a snack bar where you can get some food in the back, and they also have fancier food at Tierra, a new restaurant they opened inside the VIP lounge, which does require reservations. Laura suggested that we probably shouldn't arrive much after 10 p.m. to avoid a long line, except for Thursdays when the line is always shorter. A taxi between Old Havana and Fabrica shouldn't cost more than 10 CUCs. Cuba has 2 currencies, the convertible peso or CUCs, which are primarily what tourists use and are valued about the same as the US dollar, and Cuban pesos or CUPs, which are primarily what the locals use and are valued at 25 CUPs to 1 CUC. You can only convert CUCs back to US dollars.
Just had an amazing breakfast at El Cafe here in Havana. The prices are great, the staff are amazing, and the food is awesome. You should check it out.
They say that breakfast is the most important part of the day. Well, this breakfast was great. This is El Cafe. Yeah, I know, it's a simple name. The Cafe. But hey, it's totally to the point. Laura tells us that this is by far the best breakfast spot in Havana, and I can't argue that. This was delicious. She tells us that the owner, Nelson, lived in London for 10 years working in the restaurant business, and that he just gets it. They have delicious sourdough bread, espresso, and fresh juices, and the food is simply fantastic. Okay, so my staff felt I needed to learn to salsa dance while I was in Cuba. I'm not sure whether they were having fun at my expense or if they were sincere in that it would be something good.
I'm here with an Airbnb experience, and I'm with Raydell and Wendy, and they're going to teach me salsa. And this is something that is totally worthwhile to do if you come to Cuba.
My goal to the end of the class is that at the end you get the basic information about the salsa or casino, that is the real name. And you can do the basic steps. It's the most important nowadays. We are going to start with a warm-up.
Airbnb experiences are something fairly new. We all know Airbnb as a way to book a home, apartment, vacation rental, room in a house, or whatever to stay in. Airbnb experiences are things like bike, Segway, or walking tours, or dancing lessons, or cooking lessons, or any number of other types of lessons or events that you can imagine. These have been a game changer for Cuba. They have allowed people who are used to making the equivalent of $25 US per month to be entrepreneurs and provide a service that we, the public, want or are interested in, and a method for them to boost their income. Raydell and Wendy have done just this. They have effectively taught me how to salsa dance, and I can't dance.
The woman have to start with the right leg, right? And we're going to start with the left.
Okay.
From now, the step number one is always starting with the right for the girl and left for us.
They were great. I honestly can't recommend them enough. Go do this with your significant other. It would be a great date and time together. Their rooftop location was an amazing place to do this as well. On the corner of 23rd and L in Vedado, you'll always see a line of people waiting. And it's not for the bus. It's for Coppelia. What is Coppelia, you ask? Well, Coppelia was opened in 1966 by Fidel Castro because he believed ice cream should be available to the masses. So he built this ice cream planetarium rocket ship called Coppelia, where Cubans wait in line for over an hour to buy an ice cream sundae for 5 Cuban pesos, which is about 25 cents in US dollars. The building personally reminds me of Space Mountain at Disney World in Orlando, Florida. The crazy thing is there isn't just one line, but multiple lines in various locations around the building. There is, however, a separate line for people who want to pay in CUCs, which is mostly foreigners, and the cost is more like 5 US dollars for this fast pass line concept. Laura had placed Cafeteria Dona Laura on our agenda for lunch for one of our days. She did this because of a conversation that we had about living like a local. I love to embrace a culture. Well, embrace a culture we did. This place is where the locals eat. In fact, we were the only gringos there. We head to Hotel Nacional with our ViaHero Daniel to get a mojito and check out the famous people, both actors and politicians, who have visited and stayed at this famous and iconic hotel. This is also a great place to hire a car ride with one of the authentic classic cars that are so representative of Cuba. You will find them all lined up on the street where you can negotiate and pick the one that you want to go somewhere in. We chose the red convertible. The driver will typically recommend his own route of the standard tourist sites, but we offered up our own route and we told the driver that we wanted to get some drone footage. Oops, did I forget to mention that our awesome ViaHero Laura was able to connect us with a local company that had a drone for rent? Meet Lilo. He was our drone pilot, and he was great. He's a local Cuban filmmaker. Lilo is our new best friend. And our driver was great as well. We asked some crazy things from him, and he always was good with whatever we asked. Daniel suggested we go to a new restaurant that just recently opened the first of the year called Michifu. Michifu is a magnificent restaurant and bar with great cocktails and extraordinary food while being economical. The ambiance is spectacular with both an open air and covered dining area past the bar and piano. And yes, there is live music just like many other places in Havana. The artwork on the walls is also amazing. I'm astonished how a restaurant that has only been open for a couple of months is this organized. Our Airbnb hosts made us breakfast this morning, and all I can say is wow. The colorful fresh fruit was amazing. These ladies did an amazing job preparing this. A breakfast like this in the US or Europe would easily cost 2 or 3 times this. There was a lot of food. We definitely did not go hungry.
We're at Playa del Este, which is next to Playa Santa Maria here in Cuba, and amazing turquoise blue waters are just gorgeous, and there's tons of people having fun on the beach. I have to say, I have one of the toughest jobs in the world, but somebody's got to do it.
A visit to the Caribbean islands wouldn't be complete without a proper visit to the beach.
Fresh coconut. Very good. Muy bueno.
I am told that you can hop on the T3 tourist bus in Parque Central right in front of the Hotel Inglaterra. You'll probably see a line of tourists waiting to hop on. Transportation is 5 CUCs per person round trip, and the bus makes several stops along the way. Laura, our ViaHero, recommends getting off in front of Tropicoco if you want a beach with more commodities such as beer, food, beach chairs for rent, etc. If you want a more secluded beach, get off either before or after Tropicoco. We ended up choosing a taxi for 10 CUCs and taking it to Playa Santa Maria. This was a great beach.
We're doing an Airbnb experience here in Havana, and this one is the rum and cigar pairing, and it sounds very interesting, so I'm totally intrigued, but we're gonna let you see what it's like, and I'll bet you will want to come and do this one as well.
You'll learn how to identify and combine the rums and habanos that are traditional in Cuba. You'll also learn about the art of mariage, which is marrying a cigar to a rum, as well as the history of these products and why Cuban habanos are considered among the best cigars in the world. Ernesto is our expert host, and he has over 10 years of culinary experience. told us that we should eat dinner one night at El DeFrente, which is one of her favorite restaurants in Havana Vieja. She made the reservations for us, and I can say that it is now one of my favorite restaurants as well. Without the reservations, we wouldn't have gotten in. It was busy. The food is fantastic, colorful, and healthy. This place is actually a gin bar and known for their delicious cocktails. She made our reservations for the rooftop, which had a great view and vibe to go along with it. I had the tacos, and they were delicious. This was our trip to Cuba. Cuba now has a special place in my heart. The people are honestly the nicest people I have met on this planet. I am now looking forward to when I can go back and visit again. I'd love to see more of the country. Cuba is a hidden gem that is in America's backyard. You can totally go there and it is completely safe. Don't procrastinate. Go do it. This is a great way to experience a different culture as well as a different economic and political culture while having a great time. And best of all, the money you spend will help these people. Some tips for your first time to Cuba. Don't drink tap water or juice containing ice from non-bottled water. Bottled water is plentiful and cheap. Do learn some Spanish if you can. Don't buy cigars on the street. They are generally not authentic. Do tip, but don't over-tip. 5% is sufficient and 10% would be extremely generous. Any more is considered flaunting your wealth. A very important thing to note is your credit cards and ATM cards will not work in Cuba, so it is important to bring all of the money you plan on needing in cash. Airbnbs and nicer hotels allow you to pay online, which can limit the amount of cash you need to bring. Cuba is not a place where you want to run out of cash because you will not be able to get more once you're there.